Okay, operational amplifier are commonly used, the most basic analog circuit that is been very widely used in all types of analog application. Any type of chip, the op amp is the most primary block that is being used. So we will be discussing on it how the functionalities of op amp and different topologies and different types of applications. First of all, we will just discuss the what are the functionalities, what are the design aspects with which we will start with, and after that we will just design a simple two-stage op amp. And this is the symbol view of op amp, and some basic features are like these are the basic features. The differential gain should be very high, input impedance very high, and output impedance very low. When we need the voltage to voltage conversion as an amplifier, when we need just voltage to voltage conversion, then this criteria holds. There are slightly different applications also, like we are just applying differential voltage at the input and want the current as the output. In that case, the first two criteria remains fixed, only we will change the output impedance. This will make the op amp to a operational transconductance amplifier. This is the basic schematic of a two-stage op amp. You have learnt up to differential stage, na? So there is addition of the output stage and a frequency compensation stage. The first one, you have learnt small signal analysis of it, the differential amplifier. So what will be the gain in the first stage? Suppose at in minus terminal we are applying a voltage, small signal voltage at the in minus terminal, and we want to get the signal at the next stage input, that is at the drain of the M port. What would be the gain? Small signal gain. Yeah, at GM1, that is GM of the first stage, and at the output. So in the second stage, which is driving actually the second stage, the impedance seen from that is simple the parallel combination of drain to source resistance of M4 and that of M2. Okay. So first of all, we are not considering, we just focus on upon the circuit inside the green area, and the red area is inside the, this is the compensation stage. We will discuss it later. This is the first stage gain, GM1 R2 parallel R4, and in the second stage, similarly, GM6 V6, that is actually come, that is, and the output impedance of the device M6 and that of M7, that will come in parallel. So the effective gain of the second stage would become GM6 multiplied by R06 parallel R07. So we get an overall voltage gain of like GM1 GM5 multiplied by these two output impedances. Okay. Now the calculation of the poles. We will start the calculation, we will start the frequency response. First of all, the pole. From the output of the first stage, the impedance is the drain to source resistance of M4 and M2, and associated with some parasitic capacitance also. Okay, that is parasitic capacitance associated with M4 and M2. This will, that is the effective capacitance seen from the output of the first stage. Okay, so this one associated with these two output impedance will give the first pole of the circuit. This is the expression of the two poles, the first stage capacitance along with the two output impedance. And in the second pole, if we add a load resistance at the output, again the same effect will come. The load capacitance associated with the output impedance of M6 and M7 in parallel will give another pole. So these are the two major poles that will arise in the frequency response of the op amp. Okay. So if we draw the, if we, oh my god, okay. now we just analyzing the frequency response of the op amp. Okay, suppose the location of two poles, this is at the location of P1 and this is P2. Okay, so frequency response would be like that. And if we analyze the phase, this type of response we will get. Now there comes a term called phase margin. Phase margin actually at gain equal to 0 dB, what is the phase? Suppose this starts from 180 degree, this is the open loop gain of the circuit. So at 0 dB gain, what would be this phase? This is the definition of actually phase margin. In this case, when we don't consider any type of compensation, we will see that it's hazy now this one. Okay. So these two poles associated with the two stages of the op amp almost in the same order, they almost arise at the same position, at same frequency position. Hence these two poles are very close. So, suppose this is the location of P1 and this is the location of P2. So if we just plot the phase, you will get that finally the phase is crossing 180 degree. So this is the major problem. Without any compensation, the circuit may go to oscillatory condition. Hence the frequency compensation is the most important thing. This is the unstable op amp, and if you just make the op amp in a the buffer condition, if you set it, then it will rise some oscillatory condition. So in the feedback loop, either it will regenerate, otherwise at any particular frequency it will cause oscillation. So we don't need that one. So this is the stability and phases. There are some equations regarding the calculation of phase margin or like that will be discussed in later. So this is the open loop transfer function. So you know, when a of j omega beta of j omega tends to -1, this would be oscillatory. So we have to manage in such a way that is this product should be less than 1. Okay. Similarly, the frequency should be such that it will for a good design it will be positive. The phase margin should be positive. Hence the previous frequency plot is like that. So we can do one thing for better phase margin. Suppose this is the location of P1 and this is the location of P2. We can split the poles. Split means suppose this P1 moves to this two direction and this P2 to this direction. That is, this P1 arises at very low frequency, so that before coming to the gain bandwidth, before coming to the bandwidth frequency, it will cause a phase shift of 90 degree. So that is when the phase shift is occurring here, it will just starting dropping from here, then it gets settled. Now the location of P2, it has to set in such a manner that suppose this P2 is set, this is suppose my bandwidth frequency, and I am setting P2 far after bandwidth, and the phase will start fall almost at omega by 10 position. So this will cause some phase drop here. This is 5. Have any question? So this phase margin, this is actually the condition of phase margin, and the location of P2 is to be chosen in such a manner we will get the required phase at this position. Okay, hence the pole splitting is very necessary. So you have learned Miller's theorem, so we can apply it. Miller's theorem can be applied here. This is the input of the second stage. We just add a capacitor. So what it will effectively give? It has some gain. The pole, we can, this capacitor, this can be approximated as, there is a capacitor and there is a capacitor, C1 and C2. Okay, so depending upon that, this is the application of Miller's theorem, and depending upon that we can shape the frequency response. Okay, so this is the gain. The second stage gain is minus Gm2R2, and the effective capacitance, this is the expression of the effective capacitance of C1 and C2. Okay, this is the small signal model of op-amp. In differential stage, you have learned that the small signal is like that, only a transconductance stage along with a resistance and a capacitance, a single pole system. In case of op-amp, another stage rises, this one, and if we add frequency compensation, a capacitor will come here. This capacitor can be approximated at in this way, but another problem will arise. The problem is the feed forward action. The feed forward path actually give rise another 0. Actually, in open loop configuration, this is AV0, the transfer function would be S by P1 plus 1, S by P2 plus 1. This is a transfer function. We are just splitting this P1 and P2, but addition of this capacitor will cause to arise a 0. Hence, the effective transfer function would be like that. So the occurrence of 0 is another problem. Actually, it will just, the gain will increase and phase will decrease. So again, stability condition, there will be lacking of stability condition. So we have to nullify the effect of the feed forward action also. Okay. The feed. Suppose this is R02, this is Gm2, and if we apply superposition theorem, suppose a voltage V1 we apply here, another voltage V2 apply here. So using superposition theorem, so what will be this output voltage? So this will act simply as an impedance divider, and another one, this will give Gm2 parallel this C and R02, Gm2 multiplied by this C and this R02 in parallel. Okay, so the frequency response, in frequency response we will get this 1 minus S by Z1 minus 1, this type of response. So how it can be avoided, this appearance of the 0, how it can be eliminated? This is actually a simple node equation, they have been solved, and the approximate positions of P1 and P2 they have been given here. So don't bother about the big expressions. So at the time of designing, you will just these equations will be provided along with the specifications, and you will just go on calculating what are the positions of the respective components. Okay. So only using this capacitor, this GM2 by Cc, this is the position of the 0. From the transfer function you see that this is a second order system along with this 1 minus SCC by GM2. We can, there are different types of technique where we can eliminate the 0. Here the addition of simply a nulling resistor, that is RZ in series with this compensation capacitor. We have to choose the nulling resistor in such a way that the final, actually the, in that case, if we just go on analyzing the circuit, we just analyzing the node equations of the circuit, it will finally give a transfer function of this type. Okay, B, C, D, these are some coefficient also of forming those components of R1, R2, all those things. So if you go through these equations, you can see that in the position of 0, the term is Cc by Gm2 minus Rz into Cc. In the coefficients of B, C, D, Rz also appears in them, but they actually in those coefficients Rz has very negligible influence. If you change Rz, then this B, C, D coefficients will hardly get vary. Very small variation would there. The major variation takes place in the position of the 0. So Rz, by choosing the position of Rz, the value of Rz, you can choose the position of the 0 at any position in the frequency curve. So if you set in the frequency analysis, if you set the 0 at very high frequency, that is crossing the bandwidth, so this problem will be eliminated. Where the, suppose you set it greater than the at frequency greater than 10 bandwidth frequency, so there will be the minimum effect of phase shift. So this is the nulling, using of the nulling resistor, and you can eliminate this way. Another thing is that actually you see when Rz is connected, previously it was that there were two poles. You see that it is a polynomial of S cube, another pole will arise. So we can choose Rz in the position of 0 in such a way the third pole and the location of the third pole and location of the 0, they will be at same position, so they will nullify each other. There will be minimum effect of the pole and 0 individually. Okay, there are two ways. Either you choose the Rz in such a way that it is far away from the bandwidth, and then you will take into consideration this P3 where it lies, you just change the other positions also and you will get the location of P3. Otherwise, you just set the location of P3 and location of Z1 to be in the same position, then they will nullify each other. In that case, again it is heavy. So I have seen it. So the frequency response will like that, what I have shown. In that case, where without a compensation, an uncompensated op amp will give some oscillatory behavior, and we just add a compensation. Now this is a stable. This is a stable op amp. Okay. With at the input, at V in input, that is at the positive side, we just applying a large signal, and the output of the signal that will just track this input. So how it will track? This is another condition. So it can track the input up to a certain point. If you can give an infinite slope of the input, but it can't follow, the output can't follow the infinite slope. It has some limitations up to which it can follow the input. This is the, so we will analyze the step response of op amp. This output impedance is very low, along with this is the op amp in feedback configuration. So if you just write the node equations finally in S domain we will get this type of transfer function. Okay. Now if we convert it to the time domain, so this type of response you will get. So initially when a impulse you apply at the input, so the output will go on rising and it will settle. So this type of response. You apply a large signal, the output will track it and it will settle in this manner. Okay. Actually in different types of applications, there are some applications, suppose in fast switching circuit, a quick settling of the circuit is a prime issue. So it should not take so much time to get the final voltage. A very fast settling time issue, so this very fast settling time issue can be managed by changing phase margin of the circuit. If you go on increasing the phase margin, suppose this is the input, if phase, actually for a standard design the phase margin is kept like the order of 45 degree to 70 degree. For a standard design it is kept between this, and depending upon the specific application, when suppose you kept it at 45 degree phase margin by choosing the value of Cc, so it will take actually long time to settle. Now you choose the phase margin at 70 degree, this will make the behavior sluggish in this way. So depending upon the value of capacitor, that is compensation capacitor, you can make the system either very fast or sluggish, whatever is your requirement. But
how is the relation between the phase margin and the rate coming? How is the relation between them coming? Like, see, it is the phase margin.
okay, okay.
Why it will not sluggish?
Oh, actually, there is the expression. If this is actually V out and this is actually we can analyze the total. Suppose what is this? This is the open loop. Just considering the zero, the effect of zero is negligible. And in unity gain buffer configuration, it will be like we have learned Laplace, na? So finally it would be like some constant a square plus k1s plus suppose k0. If you actually, depending upon this k1 and k0 parameters, so you just think that parameter, that is a square we have learned it, na? So this omega d, this omega n and this rho, this will actually define what would be the settling time of the circuit. So this can be chosen from the circuit parameters. Actually they are majorly dependent upon Cc. If you just go on analyzing this transfer function, you can get the curve. So if you just go on increasing the phase margin, the circuit will more time to get settled, and decreasing it, it will become sluggish. Now for a small signal, suppose there is a upon a common mode voltage, you are applying a small signal over it. The circuit and the slope is very small. The circuit can track the input at that time. Suppose a small slope you apply here, the output voltage will follow it. Now you again increase the slope, this will again get increased. Actually you just think in a RC circuit, what would be the output voltage? what would be the slope of the output voltage, dV out dt, that will depend upon V out itself if you just differentiate. This is the property of a linear circuit. Okay, if you just go the actual, what is the slope of the input, the output voltage where it will get settled, that will determine what would be the rising slope of it. But slew is a phenomena where the property of a linear circuit almost doesn't hold, after which the circuit go into nonlinear zone. Circuit has the maximum capability of current driving, that determines the slew rate of it, up to which point, up to which up to how fast the circuit is, that is the slew rate. Now this is the non-inverting terminal in minus, this is in plus, and being connected in unity and buffer configuration. This is CL. Now you apply at the at in plus a large signal. What will happen? Initially in plus is at 0 voltage, so it is not dragging any current. Now you suddenly increase it. Initially this transistor, initially this one is at 0 because the output is 0, this one is off. So initially this transistor can't carry any current. If when you will go to design the op amp, you will see that the strength of this transistor, the second stage transistor, is much more than that of this PMOS load transistor. This GM of this circuit is kept almost 10 times with that of the first stage. Most of the gain is being done in the second stage. So suppose we set the W by L of this transistor at 10 suppose, and for the design issue we will set the second transistor gain almost at 50 or 60 times with that of the previous. So at the time of designing you will see it. So this transistor has much more current driving capability. When this large signal comes, this transistor, this one is off, this one is off, this one is off, only this one is on. So the current will flow in this way initially. High current will flow through this path. Huh? No, not gate, to the capacitor, to the compensation capacitor. And initially this transistor should carry, so there is some tail current here, should carry this huge amount of current with that of this current. If it cannot do that, then the voltage, that is the output voltage, will fall, and this will drive the input transistor, the drain voltage of the input transistor will get low, and hence it will go to out of saturation region. So initially the current will follow. I'm just considering this transistor can draw this huge amount of current, so the entire current will flow through this capacitor. Okay, so what will be the slope, how this point voltage will rise? This will be decided by how much the transistor, that this capacitor is getting charged, is it? So what is the slope? This will come, suppose this is Is, current flowing, divided by Cc. So almost in this way, almost in this manner, this transistor will get charged. Transistor gets charged means the output voltage will get rise. So this is the maximum current driving capability of the op amp. So if you are applying a large signal, so initially the current path is this, but this huge current is being suppressed, the huge current flow is being suppressed by this capacitor. So this capacitor has two roles. First one is to set the phase margin, another one to set the slew rate of it, how fast the circuit will behave. Whether it, first one is whether it will operate in oscillator, nearly oscillatory condition, or it will operate very fast. So that it has two roles. So hence, depending upon application, this CC is the major thing to choose depending on application. Okay. So the slew rate of op amp can be defined as Is divided by Cc. Okay. Now for the single stage circuit, there are few drawbacks. Drawbacks means you can suppose for an op amp, what is the ideal open loop gain? It should be infinite. But for the practical design, it usually it is kept like 10 to the power 6, like that, 100 dB. This type of, this has been designed 10 to the 5, sorry, or 10 to the power 6, whatever we the criteria. So these two stages only give a gain like up to 40 to 50 dB, not more than that. So this is the, so our major criteria is this the inverting terminal voltage will force the non-inverting terminal voltage to follow it, and it will dependent upon the open loop gain. More the open loop gain, more this inverting terminal voltage will follow the input voltage. So we have to set gain very high. So how it can be set? See, one thing, this is, you learned cascode configuration. Have you learned? You know the small signal analysis? Okay. So use of cascoding can increase the gain of the circuit. So how much actually, what is the expression of gain? That is Gm into R naught. This is the expression of gain. Gm you can't vary up to which point? Up to a certain point you can't increase Gm. So only we can increase R naught. Cascoding is a technique where R naught can be increased. So keeping the Gm constant, if we add up an extra stage, this will give some added gain. So you see here, actually this is a differential input to differential output configuration, and this one is a differential input to single-ended output configuration. Okay. So the gain would be like for any one of it, the gain would be Gm1. It was previously it was Gm1 multiplied by R04, R02 parallel R04. That is the PMOS and NMOS drain resistance in parallel. So here PMOS and NMOS resistance is output impedance. Each of them, for the NMOS resistance, this is R010, and use of cascoding, this will make the gain R010 multiplied by a GMN multiplied by another R010. Okay. For the PMOS type, again it will cause a gain of R0P multiplied by GMP and R0P. Okay. So finally overall gain would become Gm1 multiplied by R0N squared GMN parallel R0P square GMP. So this is the expression of gain for cascoding. Okay. Cascoding has some disadvantage. Can you guess what is the disadvantage of the circuit? No, you can say bandwidth. Actually, what is the bandwidth? Actually, Gm1 by Cc. For a particular configuration, if you just change bandwidth, the gain will correspondingly change. But this is a different configuration. Okay, so to increase gain, to increase bandwidth, there are different topologies for the change, but using of this circuit which will increase gain. You see, at the in the simple two-stage circuit, there was only one PMOS load. Okay, thus the maximum voltage, maximum output voltage, the maximum output voltage of this node, what would be? VDD minus VDS drop of these two transistors. Okay, so this is the voltage up to which you can operate it. Again, for the lower one, so this point voltage will be restricted by this VDS drop. Okay, now you adding cascode, now you adding another transistor, so the VDS drop will becomes twice, so the swing will get limited. For the second stage, you can also add a transistor here. Similarly, for the previous type, this will also increase gain, but again in that case the output swing will get restricted. The output node voltage should be, the maximum value of the output node voltage should be VDD minus these two VDS drop. Okay, so if we want to operate the transistor, operate the circuit in rail to rail condition, then we can't use this cascading. But when the requirement is very high gain, then we can use cascade. So these are the two applications. There are other applications also, like folded cascading technique. This will get little bit complex, and after today I will not discuss it. So this will actually increase both gain and both the swing, input DC sweep swing. Suppose you just go on increasing the input voltage, the DC sweep here. Up to a certain point, this one will track it, and after that it will go into saturation. Okay, so this transistor, and this transistor, whether they will be remaining in saturation or in active region, that will determine the what would be the range of the circuit to be operated in linear. Okay, so up to this point you just know it. When for the two-stage circuit, you can get less gain, but you can operate in over a good range. Circuit will operate in linear region for a more swing, and here you will get a good gain, but swing is reduced. So you can't use it in unity gain buffer configuration. In unity gain buffer configuration, what you expect? It will operate almost rail to rail. So you can't use cascade configuration in unity gain buffer. So here actually, before going to the design of a two-stage op amp, I will give one problem. You just think of it, and the problem is that is, this is the actually a 2-pole 1-0 system. You just write. For when we will start the design of two-stage op amp, we will provide some specifications. Specifications means slew rate, open loop gain, the range within which the circuit operate in linear region, and the output load that is driving. These are few specifications. So depending upon that, you have to choose all the transistor aspect ratios W by L with tail current, and the most vital thing is the compensation capacitor. So before, actually in practical design, CC is the most important thing to choose primarily. So that will get derived from, if you solve this one, this will determine what is the value of CC you will choose depending on. This is the first condition. You are given the phase margin should be 60°. So depending upon phase margin, you will choose CC. Okay. CC actually directly affects phase margin. So you choose CC. Again, CC has some, CC determines what would be the slew. So you have to optimize the value of CC. So just try this problem. Tomorrow actually we will no. Actually, this is actually a first stage to what would be for a given design. What would be the phase margin? So phase margin is not required, not associated with that. First you will choose. Suppose you are given with the load capacitance. This load capacitance, this compensation capacitor along with the parasitics will determine the pole locations, and location of the poles will determine the phase margin. Okay. So when phase margin is given, you have to locate the poles, and for location of the poles, that it is given. First you write the transfer function. What is the transfer function? 2 pole 1 0 system. What will be transfer function? Then what would be the phase at bandwidth? Write the expression. Right up plane 0, that will increase the gain and decrease the phase. Suppose the phase starts falling from 180°. So what would be the equation of phase at gain bandwidth frequency? Suppose this is it is of order 5 MHz. System has the bandwidth of 5 MHz. Pole starts falling, it starts from 180°. Phase starts from 180°. So at 5 MHz, what would be the expression of phase? So phase would be, suppose at PW we want to calculate the phase. So it would be 180° minus tan inverse BW by P1, then then plus minus. Actually, what pole does? left half plane pole increases the gain, decreases the phase. 0 is opposite order, increases the gain but decreases the phase. So tan inverse BW by Z1. Okay. Suppose BW it's been provided 5 megahertz, then suppose phase margin is 60 degree. This is actually phase margin, equal to phase margin 60 degree. Suppose you choose a location of pole at F1, so that almost at P1 by almost, suppose if you choose the pole at F1, almost at F1 by 10 position, the phase starts falling. The phase will get some finite value, and at when the frequency reaches F1, the phase shift almost get 45 degree, and almost at 10 F1 it will provide a 90 degree phase shift. Okay. So you can choose the 0 almost at 10 times bandwidth. See, here omega equal to GB. Location of pole P1, that will actually cause the phase shift of 90 degree much before the bandwidth. Okay. If you have any doubt, please ask. Oh, I'm sorry, that would be tan of Z1. I'm sorry, this one. This will almost, this tan of omega by Z1, that will become 0.1. That is being inverted. Yeah, it's almost 0. Z1 almost equal to 10 of BW. You put the equation there. Huh? 1 by root 3. Approximately this comes. That is, so if you solve it, if you just put in the equation, this is tan inverse 1 by 10. This one is 90 degree. This one is 1 by 10. Tan inverse 1 by 10. From that, you will get the location of pole 2. Okay. So this pole 2